buy her 2 shots right now. But then, like, it was such a racket. It was sick. Oh, man. But those guys are idiots. Kind of schmuck. Anyways, all right, we got more live comedy coming at you right now. Your next comic shouldn't even be here. Shouldn't even be here. He's got some health problems. They told him he can't leave the hospital, but he escaped. He escaped. He broke out tonight just for you, because you guys said you're coming, and he knows the show must go on. Let's bring him out here, Garrett Joyce, everybody! You're at Play Tell. What's so funny?
Good up for Van Dad. Fighting my voice already. Welcome to Pray Tell. You know the policy here, right? No shirt, no shoes, no service, no pants, no problem. So I want you to use your imagination right now, right? Let's just imagine that I'm dressed in a t-shirt and jeans, okay? This is like any other stand-up comic. Get to know you guys a little bit better. I see that there are some people not quite one person in my demographic. Do we have any people here in their 20s? Woo! You're in your 20s? How old are you? 29, and you? 25, oh my God, 25. You're not as old as the polyps in my colon. Yeah. What year were you born in then? 93. 93 was the year I got my first gray pubic hair. I got it stuck in my teeth. About this, you might have noticed. Anyone here know Mike Birbiglia? The comic Mike Birbiglia? Yeah. Mike Birbiglia says that if you wear something for the sake of a bit, for a joke, as a stand-up comic, it's a gimmick. It'll only get a cheap laugh. It just shows you how out of touch Mike Birbiglia is with the beating heart of stand-up comedy. Mr. Big, I've got a one-man show on Broadway. $200 a ticket. Who would pay that after it's been playing 8 months to a sold-out crowd? Anyways, I'm gonna prove Mike Birbiglia wrong here. I actually picked this little number up at Mount Sinai. I was there for 10 days. Most insurers will only cover a standard hospital gown. But my insurer allowed me to upgrade to this number, this little silk blend number. I don't know if you can tell, but it's actually, the motif is Monet's water lilies, right? Yeah, makes my eyes pop. So I was in hospital for 10 days, and I had a bit of a religious experience. I did. Anyone here? Did anyone believe in God? You do? Anyone not believe in God? I'm sort of on the fence. If the fence is 10 feet high, electrified, and topped by razor wire. I've done open mics for 4 years. I know there are no miracles. The 10 Commandments, right? 10 Commandments. I haven't broken one of them. The other 9, talk to my lawyer. So I had not pneumonia, I had not double pneumonia, I actually had triple pneumonia. I was almost ventilated when I checked in. I was in hospital for 10 days and back for a couple more after that. No solid food for 2 weeks, bedridden for a month. pretty dire stuff. But what's funny, and I've had to listen to a bunch of people here say this tonight. Every one of my friends that I see, they say, "Gare, you look great." You know that's true, right? "Gare, you look great." And I said, that's what they said to Patrick Swayze. Right? It was radiation that made his eyes black. Forget Dirty Dancing. Chemo was the time of his life. So, this is all new stuff, so you have to. When I checked in, they checked me for Legionnaire's disease. Even though I told them it had been years since I drank at the Legion. I was checked for emphysema, for TB, tumors. They checked me for HIV, thinking that my sex life was much more interesting than it is. But I contracted something far worse than Legionnaire's emphysema. I contracted something far worse. A roommate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So, my roommate was a fellow named Perry Cohen. I invite you to look him up after this show, just to know that this bit is true. My roommate was a fellow named Perry Cohen, 5'6", 270, not the picture of health. He walked in carrying a biography of Mother Teresa, right? And I'm thinking, my luck, a leper. But I hate to say this because it might come off as anti-Semitic, and I'm the farthest thing from it. My daughters are Jewish, but I could smell this guy coming, right? Because he had a catheter, and it was hooked up to like an oil drum of urine, right? I mean, he's in the room 5 minutes, and it smells like the alley next to a homeless shelter, right? It was pretty raunchy. But the thing is, I could deal with that, you know? I could deal. Forgive me, I'm gonna lose my voice. Forgive me. I could deal with it if it was just the urine smell. I could plug my nose, whatever. But what really drove me, this guy would not shut up. The nurses came in to look after him, and he'd say, you know, do they pay you to do this? Are you sure this is where you put the needle? The specialists came in and said, you know, do you exercise, Mr. Cohen? I mean, it must have been a bit of a joke to them. But he said, no, I lead a contemplative, sedentary life. To me, walk is a 4-letter word. And I'm thinking, what about talk? Talk, a 4-letter word. But even if it was just talking, I could deal with it. But this guy complained about everything. The first night, he buzzed the nurse to tell her that my IV drip was too loud. He actually, at mealtime, sent a glass of water back for being too cold. He told his friends that he wanted to move. He wanted to switch rooms because I coughed all night long. We're in a hospital. If you want quiet, ask for someone who's in a constant vegetative state. But the worst of all, and this pushed my button, this took me to the edge. And a night when I was doing really bad, he buzzed the nurse and asked if she could turn off my oxygen machine. I told him to fuck off. But I don't think he could hear me with the tube down my throat. Oh, I'm feeling that right now. So, my wife came in to visit me. And I said, "You're not going to believe it. I've got a monster for a roommate." And she said, "You're so harsh. You're so judgmental." And I said, "No, I've seen him like verbally abuse his wife. Like, and he's just like, you know, he's so self-centered, so selfish. He leaves the light on all night long so he can read about Mother Teresa." And she said, "You know what? You have to get over this. You have to get past this. You have to be a better person if you're going to be better." So that night, I got on my Wi-Fi and I searched Perry Ian Cohen, my roommate. My wife came back the next day. I said, "I found Perry Ian Cohen." She goes, "Really?" I said, "Yes, he's a rabbi." I said, "Oh." She said, "A rabbi? He's a religious leader. See? See? You're saying he's a monster and he's a rabbi. See?" She goes, "Where did you find that out?" And I said, "I found it out on the website for the Jewish Coalition Against Sexual Assault." She goes, "He's an advocate for victims." I said it, "Not exactly." Perry Ian Cohen was fired from his last job. Perry Ian Cohen, age 50, for having sex with a congregant who was 16. Evidently, his lifestyle, not so sedentary. He told her that having sex with him was okay because he was a rabbi, right? For Rabbi Cohen, the idea of safe sex was wearing a yarmulke. I'll wait for that. I still think that's a good joke. So, you would think with priors like this, you know, Rabbi Cohen would have trouble getting a new job. Actually, he was working as the rabbi for residents for the United Church of Canada. And I'm thinking, when the hell is the United Church going to get Wi-Fi? It was the first thing that showed up on Google. Now, I asked you if you believe in God. I didn't believe in God until this very moment. Because I was thinking about it. And this guy had gone unpunished. He'd never done jail time. The girl wouldn't testify against him. And look, there are hundreds of patients in Mount Sinai Hospital. There are thousands of people on staff. What are the chances? What are the chances that Rabbi Cohen is going to end up in a room with one guy who will fuck with him? Which I did. I'm not proud of it. I'm very, very proud of it. It started small, like, counting up when the commandments. I pissed on the toilet seat. High school stuff. I unplugged his phone. Okay. Then I raised my game. I don't want to tell you what I did to his toothbrush. But if cancer doesn't get him, E. coli will. But the coup de grace, the pièce de ma résistance, I pumped his toilets. He had a raised toilet seat.